Hello everyone and welcome back to the next episode of Suzerain, where I thought we were doing quite well. Our projected economic growth was at least projected to be going upwards. It's now taken a slight downturn. I'm not entirely sure what the reason for that is. We might even be able to see if we go to overview, go to the economy. There's a lot of red links there. Small businesses stagnate. That might be due to my tax increase. That probably hasn't helped the growth at all. So we're going to have a lot of work to do, and we probably have also annoyed our wife, so lots to do this time. Okay, in Benfey, the bustling city of Benfey is facing infrastructural challenges at its airport and port facilities at full capacity due to high volumes of logistics and tourist travel. The situation is raising concerns over the ability to sustain the growing demand without causing delays and disruptions. Infrastructure expansion and modernisation are being considered to resolve the issue. We have no government budget to be able to help you, but we'll have to see. More importantly, though, the opening of the Benfey Arts Centre, where I don't think our wife is going to be very happy with us because she wanted to talk, and we said no to get the support of the right or the conservative wing of our own party. Our motorcade study made its way through the magnificent Benfey High Arts Centre. Night was falling and the festival was about to begin. I flipped through the brochure that had been given to us at the hotel. On the front page there was the face of Curtin Lester, Mayor of Enrica. He was a Benfey native who had a long-standing relationship with the city's current mayor, who had been personally invited to make tonight's opening speech. The Benfey Festival was one of the biggest events of the year. It originally marked the start of the annual religious pilgrimage, a week-long journey still undertaken by devout tourists. But today is better known as the cultural celebration that drew thousands of lovers to the city. There are film screenings, concerts, theatre and dance performances, arts exhibitions and celebrity-studded nightly galas. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on TV and watched by millions. As the car slowed, a bunch of reporters and security guards rushed to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica. Since Gloria had convinced me to cancel her opening speech, things between us had been strange. She barely said a word to me all day. Oh boy. I feel like if we say something that might go badly. Of course she's still angry. Will you forgive me? I told you my reasons. I know and understand it's just going to take me some time. She clearly did not want to pursue this topic any further. As soon as Sergei opened the door, we were enveloped by the roar of the crowd. The next few minutes were a blur of handshakes, photos and reporters' questions. The onlookers cheered us as we walked to the red carpet to the newly built art centre. We followed the guards through the white halls until we came to a set of arched doors leading to the auditorium. We waited outside as security did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. I'd been asked to make a quick set of remarks introducing Curtin Lester and beckoned Monica to join me on the podium. I don't think Monica's going to do that. Monica brushed past me, took her seat in the front row and crossed her arms. I walked alone to the podium. I spoke for just a minute, reading a paragraph my speechwriter had churned out about the importance of the festival and Benfey to Swordland. I concluded by inviting Curtin Lester, the Mayor of Enrica, to the podium. I stepped down and joined Monica in the front row. Her arms were still folded. Welcome to the first day of the Benfey Festival. He paused a moment to let the crowd cheer and his eyes briefly met mine. Give him a quick nod. This is the night for the people of Benfey, indeed for the people of Swordland, to put aside their differences and come together in celebration. Yet as we unite for the festivities, we must remember the real reason we are gathered here. The crowd fell silent, the people giving their full attention to what he had to say. This festival was founded around the principles of our cherished religion, nudity, yet over the years it's been severed from its sacred roots and become something else, something far more perverse. In its use of public drunkenness and grotesque displays of the flesh, an occasion for young women to parade their bodies and engage in lascivious behaviour. As he went on, I could see Monica becoming increasingly agitated. What the hell is he talking about? What century does he think we live in? I'm not going to say quiet. I'm also going to say... I say I don't know, just let it be. That's going to also annoy her. I'm just going to pretend not to hear her. Monica turned back to watching the speech, a frown on her face. Perversion hidden under the guise of art is not befitting the beautiful city of... The crowd was becoming restless. Many of the younger attendees were murmuring disagreement, while a few of the older ones were nodding vigorously. As I said, perversion hidden under the guise of art is not to be... Enough! The hall fell silent. Monica rose and continued. Mr. Lester, it is not young women who are disgraced this fine festival, but you. You and your backwards puritanical attitudes, which have been holding this country back for far too long. I'm just going to watch the events unfold. I sit in my seat and watch the events unfold. Monica turned to face the audience, speaking loud enough to be heard without a microphone. Women of Swordland, we must not let people like Mr. Leslie use religion as a justification to demean and oppress us. Our time has come. A short gasp ran through the crowd, and a few people rose and applauded. Kurt and Leslie waited to speak. I think Mrs. Rain is forgetting her place. What do you think my place is, Mr. Leslie? The kitchen? The festival is not about your retrograde traditions. We're living in modern times now. It's 1954. And it isn't your place to decide how the people of Benfey, especially the women, should be celebrating their own festival. I'm not doing anything. She's more than able to say her piece. I keep watching in silence. I looked at the podium seeker and Leslie's piercing gaze at me. There should have been a price to pay for this. Mr. President, can you please control your wife before she embarrasses herself any further? Oh. Do we annoy our wife, or do we annoy the Mayor of Enrica and the Conservatives that back him? I genuinely don't know. What on earth do I do here? Now's not... You know what, Curtin? My wife is absolutely right. Monica looked at me, surprise registering on her face. Thank you, Anton. I turned to Curtin. But we will take up our concerns at a later time. Please finish your speech. That way that's where we are appeasing both sides. Please, Monica, give you some slack here. Benfey has always been a beacon of culture, tradition, and religion. Many battles have been fought over this precious city. Army after army has tried to claim it for their own, but we fought back and won each time. We stand here thanks to strong men who are able to protect their families, their lands, their way of living. Every day I praise God that we have succeeded so far. Scattered applause broke out from some of the older members of the audience. I leaned over to Monica. I praise God he's only allowed to speak for another 2 minutes. Monica stifled a short laugh. Yet the traditions that form the very fabric of our society are being tested, even as I speak. He looked pointedly at Monica. We must stay true to our values so that Swordland can prevail, so that Benfey can prevail. With these at the forefront, I'm convinced that Swordland will continue to be the greatest nation in the world. I invite every single one of you to celebrate our roots and our traditions at this holy Benfey festival. I hereby declare the festival open. Praise God, praise Swordland, praise Benfey. Amorgana West Score. Vector and Sistar, most of the people in the hall finished the decades-old saying, including me. Monica's lips moved, but she didn't say the words out loud. He exited the stage as the band struck up the official festival anthem. I spent the rest of the evening alternately watching the festivities and conversing with local politicians. By the time we got back to the hotel, I was exhausted. But thanks to the festivities still raging outside and the sound of Monica tossing and turning beside me, I couldn't sleep at all. I hope we did the right thing there. No changes to the growth just yet, but we'll have to see. Downtime at home, let's hope that our wife is happy with us. But first, a lack of further evidence of the investigation into the fire that occurred at the HSU. Archives have caused this case to be suspended until further notice. The cordon has been lifted. And in an effort to mitigate economic damages, Household's central bank is working on a new proposal. The plan compromises several measures, including the accumulation of foreign exchange reserves, the adoption of a cautious fiscal policy, increased support for export-oriented industries. The bank's initiative forms a crucial part of the broader strategy to stabilise Swordland's economy. Yeah, our economy is not doing too hot. It felt like an eternity since the Benfey Festival, had it really only been less than 24 hours. I was at home now, drinking an afternoon coffee on my balcony, a stack of newspapers laid by my side. I picked them up one by one, reading and rereading the articles about the festival. Some of the newspapers were merciless against Monica for interrupting Curtin during his speech. A few even called for her to be barred from political matters. Others expressed their support. In any event, I was relieved that the incident hadn't reflected too badly on me. I was putting the last newspaper down as Monica joined me on the balcony. Listen, can we talk for a bit? Of course, what is it? Monica sat down and picked up the nearest newspaper. She pointed to a particularly insulting headline on the front page. I never in a million years would have wished for this, Anton. I just wanted to thank you for supporting me and apologise for creating such a spectacle. You were right. Gloria was right. I made myself look like an idiot and damaged the very cause I was fighting for. Her eyes were getting moist, and a single tear fell onto the newsprint. Let's just wipe her tears away. I leaned forward and wiped her tears from eyes. She clasped my face to her hands to her face. Oh, Anton. Her eyes filled with gratitude. I could see she'd slept as little as I had since the festival. Thank you. One more thing. You know how stubborn I am. Perhaps the festival wasn't the proper forum to air my views on women's rights, but I still need to do this, Anton. I want to officially adopt this course as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give impromptu speeches. I can even help your Education Minister with these reforms she's working on. I know this is something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Yes, but you need to get control. You need to do your speeches at the right time. This means so much to me. Monica hugged me tightly and I felt some of the past day's tension melt away. Thank you. A noise came from the balcony door and we both turned our heads to see Dina standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's go to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah! They left the balcony and returned half an hour with a large cookie. Dina had written my name and icing on it. As I sipped my coffee and nibbled the cookie, I thought I made the right choice. Things were going to get harder, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. I thought we fixed the economy, but maybe not. Okay, what's next? Budget allocation of Swedish Armed Forces. Interesting. Reports from our board and the Vezek city Vernon show that there are about 1,000 people running away from the Vezek military forces towards the Swedish border. The military are not going to like that, that's for sure. To determine the current situation of the military and its spending policy, we held a meeting in the White Room. Peter, Vulcan, and Joseph were seated. General Vulcan, Mr. Lancia, let's start with a briefing. Very well, Mr. Vice President. We have prepared a briefing to convey further details about the current situation of our military. Which branch would you like to know about? Start with the Army, and then we'll go on to the Navy and the Air Force. According to the latest reports from Camp Strongarm, currently we have 6 armies totaling up to approximately 400,000 active troops, which is a good amount. The real issue we're having is not the quality. The real issue we're having is the quality, not the quantity. How do we compare to other armies? Rumberg fields about 6 armies amounting to 1 million, Lesbia 5 armies to 800,000, Vegasland 1 army of about 140,000. Wayland fields 100,000, Agnolia 200,000. The sheer size of Rumberg's army is because of their forced conscription laws. They are able to afford such a large force due to their massive gold reserves, which significantly came from Rizia over the past decades. On the other hand, the Lesbian army is the most advanced, followed by the Vagaslandian army. Both these countries put lots of money into modernising their military. What is our army actually doing at the moment? The first army is stationed at the Lesbian-Wayland border to protect their way into the central regions of Swordland. The second army, our largest force, has been situated by the Rumberg border. The second army has a large mountain commander force and is the most adequately equipped army to face Rumberg. The third army is near the Agnolian border and the coastal areas facing Vagasland. Due to our bitter past, our coastal defence force is always on alert. The decimation of our fleet is still not forgotten. And current equipment status. Our army is quite outdated by today's military standards. Most of our equipment is 2 decades old. To make up for our lack of military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not really a long-term solution. We've been trying hard to reduce the negative effects of this problem. We don't need a modernisation programme. A standardised purchase of lacking equipment would do. We need more funding towards expanding the military size, otherwise our army will be seen as weak. I have already given you quite a bit of money at a severe expense to the government budget. I don't have more to give you. Tell me about the Navy. Our Navy currently constitutes 59 vessels with a total of 60,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from our main naval base in Comriat, where our flagship SS Renan is docked. And how does our Navy compare? Our Navy is dwarfed by the size of the Vegaslandian Navy, which has 194 ships, and the Agnolian has 81. We only surpass Lesbia in terms of our Navy, as they have less than 30 ships. As you see, the situation is dire, but the solution is not just more ships. To make a truly better Navy, we need to equip our ships with modern radar and sonar systems. More outdated ships won't mean much. How are our capabilities and power projection? The truth is, we are limited to the near region due to the size and technological level of our Navy ships. If we have modern support vessels, we could participate in international operations. That's right, we could still hold some power though. If needed be, we could block the trade of the Marquian Sea. To make up for our weaknesses, allying ourselves to a naval power could also help protect our seas. And what seas does our navy patrol? We are patrolling the Marquian Sea, the Grey Strait, and the Antacian Sea. Our navy protects all our coastal regions, however we make sure we are not thinning out our defence. We prioritise certain regions over others like Greater Wholesword. We often patrol the routes that are close to the shipping lanes, especially the Marquian Sea and the Grey Strait. The amount of cargo that goes through that area is eye-opening. Another thing to note is that after the takeover of Helgeland, where our navy has led incursion operations to protect Agnolia, we also take part in some joint navy drills as well. Okay, let's hear about the Air Force. I was about to say the RAF there, but no, this is not the UK. Our Air Force colony has 410 planes in the inventory, out of which only 140 are jet planes that are not in great condition. 30,000 pilots and support staff work in the Air Force, and they are commanded from the Mark Air Force Base in Erleroy. How does our Air Force work together with the other military branches? The Air Force is trained as an independent tactical support branch, which means it assists other branches but doesn't collaborate. This does cause some issues like friendly fire, missed close air support opportunities. There are some ways to improve collaboration with joint operations rooms, something to think about surely. And what about operational capabilities? Our planes can bomb targets within 400 km radius of their airfield. They have medium range and semi-effective nighttime bombing capabilities. At any time we can field 7 air wings composing a total of 130 aircraft that can operate in combat duty. This is enough to subdue most targets. In terms of our bombing capability, we have an average of 100 metres of precision. This is not great, but it's still within the effective radius of the bombs. And how experienced are our pilots? Our pilots have average experience. They have a total of 450 hours flight time with their craft before they are qualified. That gives them more enough time to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 to 1,500 hours in other countries, and normally the hours per pilot should be high, but due to the lack of funding we can't increase the training times. Fuel costs are rather high. Let's move on. The Ministry of Defence is content with the additional funds. Hopefully the allocated money helps our defence needs. The important thing is that we put these funds to good use, as the people need proof of our success in the military. We surely will. Also, many topics will be addressed so that people can be proud of something that is theirs. Joseph already has some suggestions. I'm sure that people will approve something new and bold from us. Should we move on to the spending choice? Very well. The increase in the military budget leaves us with big questions about how to utilise it. There's a lot of debate in the ministry which results in two factions of thought. The first faction is in favour of enlarging the armed forces by enlisting more men, while the second faction is in favour of purchasing better military equipment. I probably will go for better equipment over the size increase, but we'll see. What is the argument for increasing the size? Some of our neighbours have larger populations and thus a larger armed force. Using funds to boost our size would minimise their advantage. Theoretically, numbers alone don't determine the strength balance. Enlisting more soldiers to the armed forces could also minimise the unemployment issue. That's something I didn't look at, actually. Or think about. I'm not so convinced. What other reasons are there? Joseph doesn't think so either. Reports show that we lack equipment, not men for military efficiency. We cannot beat it, so Vulcan thinks we should go for the numbers, and Joseph thinks we should go for equipment. So let me know about the equipment. The armed forces are behind in terms of military equipment in comparison to our neighbours. We need a fundamental modernisation programme. No matter how many advanced weapons and systems we buy, our enemies can overcome them. Vulcan had a serious tone. That does indeed sound blank. But quality over quantity always. A smaller well-equipped force can destroy a much larger one. Sir, I'll be frank, Rumberg fields 3 times our forces. The modernisation programme won't mitigate our difference. The era of large assaults and human wave tactics are over. We're heading to an era of modern combat which requires modern tools to adapt. I have indeed settled on a decision. Modernisation programme. As you wish, but the decision will be negative for our old doctrine. Glad we made the right choice in this. I'll make the necessary arrangements. Joseph and Vulcan looked at each other. I don't think they're going to be too happy. Well, certainly Vulcan won't be too happy. The meeting concluded as the sun set over the concrete jungle that was Wholesword. Okay. A diplomatic mission in Agnolia, wonderful. Go back to the national map. I saw there was also something else happening as well. The economy is not looking great. I'd actually quite like to transfer my personal wealth over, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, we've got our 2 diplomatic missions, so let's start with the trade talks with the Prime Minister of Agnolia. Let's just catch up on who Agnolia are and kind of what they're about. Diplomacy. I want to know more about Agnolia, really. Open country information, there we go. So they're friendly, but their military is weak. These guys are like the Dutch, really. Cheap steel imports, okay. And there's also the Republic of Wales. I want to see who these guys are. They're neutral and weak, with a few more people behind them, however. I think probably Agnolia is the people we want to bring on side, so let's talk with them first. Sorlin's one's flight from Holsall to Starport took 3 hours, but went very smoothly. We were about to touch down. David left his seat and came over while Sim was enjoying his newspaper. Looks like we're about to land, Mr. President. I looked outside. I could see Helgeland, the island in between Vegasland and Agnolia. So many conflicts over a small piece of land. The island can barely sustain itself without outside help. I know, I was just thinking the same. Thousands of people died fighting for it. I wonder if it was worth it. I suspect it will be one of the tips that Mr. Van Houten will bring up as a bargaining chip. We must be careful. Helgeland might be under control of Agnolia, but the international community hasn't yet to recognise it, for a good reason too. Nobody wants to make an enemy of Vegasland, especially because of the support of United Contana and the CSP. Me included. I agree, we should try our best to stick to the middle ground. Simon folded his newspaper but got up from the seat and sat right next to us. Aside from the point of Helgeland, we need to be careful with the additional requests. According to the deal that was negotiated so far, they want to sell us their steel for a higher price, and they're requesting easier access to our agricultural market. In return, they're promising cash flow investments, especially in the Agnoland region. It's not hard to guess why. Precisely, Agnolian immigrants in our Agnoland region make up a good chunk of the area's economy now. During the initial negotiations, they brought up the topic of immigration many times. The fact that we relaxed our immigration laws will help tremendously. Let's see if we can shake hands on it. The pilot made an announcement that the descent had started, and David and Simon went back to their seats. I took another look outside the window, and I could see Stahlport, the capital city of Agnolia. The large dockyards of the city in the canal Stahl in Agnolian appeared closer as our descent continued. Stahlport was certainly a fitting name. A couple of minutes later, we finally touched down, and the plane parked. I took a final look out the window, and the welcoming ceremony from Agnolia was waiting along the red carpet outside. After the guards had made their way out, I exited the plane. We'll wave at the crowd, let's be friendly. There were many camera flashes, and I started to make my way downstairs. Prime Minister Van Houten was nowhere in sight. Instead, I was greeted by the Foreign Minister. After handshakes and a couple of photos, I moved to the car where Sergei was waiting to drive me to the office of the Prime Minister. Good day, sir. I hope the flight was comfortable. Yes, it was. Thank you, Sergei. I got into the car and we made our way through the foreign streets. Our convoy was protected by Swordish and Agnolian guards in their vehicles. We got on the highway beside the port and saw dozens of dockyards and ships anchored. Some of the boats and machinery looked old. The city itself looked very grey and grim. The buildings had a touch of Romberg's famous monarchian architecture, with a mixture of Swordish signature domes on the older ones. We're now on the main road to the office of the Prime Minister. Looks like they're not too happy to see you, sir. Sergei pointed out at a crowd that gathered on both sides of our street. It was a protest. They were shouting and yelling at the convoy. Some of them held signs written in Swordish. Sworden must pay its debts to Agnolia. You know, I never knew Agnolians were so ungrateful. Not everyone sees a great leader like you every day. They can yell all they want. I know what it is. They're always scared of Sworden's potential, and now they are afraid that a lion needs Swordland. They are afraid of you. We have arrived, sir. The car continued through the gates while the security vehicles went the other way. We finally came to a stop at the front of the door. Sergei left the car and opened the car door. I exited and began walking to the door where dozens of press and the Prime Minister was waiting for me. I saw the peer much more clearly as I neared the door. He was shorter than I thought. Mr. President, welcome to Agnolia and the beautiful city of Stahlport. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be here. He reached out for a handshake, and the press surrounding us had been waiting for this moment. Do we hug? Might be a bit much. No, let's shake hands and hug. We shook hands and I went for a hug, which was received well by the Prime Minister. The press went wild and took more pictures. He gestured to the entrance of the 200-year-old Parliament building. This way, please. We entered and the press followed us inside. I'd like to present you with a gift as a sign of friendship between our countries. An assistant showed up immediately with a large glass case in her hands. It contained a single sheet of parchment inside. This here is one of the first treaties written between Swordland and Agnolia, just like the one you prepared with Mr. Whiskey before my term. May mark the renewal of our friendship today as well. This is an amazing gift, thank you. Our photos were taken again. I just as one of my retainers who was holding our gift to the PM. Ooh. Gift a swordish bred puppy despite Martin's no fear of dogs? No, don't do that. Actually, that reminds me of a real life situation where Vladimir Putin had his rather large menacing dog in a meeting with Angela Merkel, then Chancellor of Germany, and Angela Merkel has a known fear of dogs, and I remember Vladimir Putin was like, oh no, I didn't mean to, but I think he probably did. First constitution is a swordland, that feels a bit weird. No, gift an ornamented ceremonial sword made with swordish steel. Ah, an excellent specimen. This must be hundreds of years old. It looks like this is swordish steel as well. Very fitting. Thank you. The cameras flashed once again. Let's go to my office. Follow me. I followed him and we entered the office of the Prime Minister. With its minimalist and wooden decor, the room was far more modest than I expected. We sat down, he leaned back and made himself comfortable. Sheesh, I'm thankful to be done with the ceremonies. I was about to say the same. I'm not fond of these either. It's one of the tougher parts of our job. He got up from his chair, moved to the bar, and there were many varieties of liquor. Would you like a drink, Mr. Rain? What's the Magnolian vodka? Let's suck up a bit. Ah, you know your drink. He poured the drinks and gave mine to me before sitting down again. A true gentleman, I can respect that about you, Mr. Houghton. This is how we do things in Agnolia, Mr. Rain. I appreciate the kind words, but flattery alone won't sway me this day. First of all, I would like to say that I've been watching your recent immigration policy changes. I'm glad that you have decided to keep it relaxed. Immigration and immigrants are very important for beneficial economical development. We believe that very much in Agnolia. It's reassuring to see Swordland move in a more modern direction. Oh, let's not go accusing him of anything just yet, but we do need to kind of keep an eye on things. He took a sip from his vodka. So tell me, Mr. Rain, is Swordland a reliable trading partner to Agnolia? As long as Agnolia is a reliable trading partner. Let's be firm. I can assure you we are. Van Houten leaned back further in contemplation. Let's change the course of our nations. First of all, if we shake hands on it, this agreement is going to be extremely beneficial for both of us. You should be able to solve your recession in no time with the investment and money flow coming from us. This is, as you know, on top of the reduced tariffs for trade between our countries. Of course, in return, as discussed between my people and your people before, you allow us privileged access to your agricultural market. You'll be buying steel from us from a higher price, which is a small price to pay, really. That is the deal. What do you say, Mr. Rain? So, do we accept this or do we not? We can accept it, that's one government budget down. I don't know here. This is not a official deal for Swordland, I'm sorry I can't agree to this, or I accept. This is not a beneficial deal for Swordland. Let's try debate this a bit. You went for all this effort to come say no to me. You're throwing many works of work down the drain. This is a mistake. I can't agree to the higher prices. We prefer to continue with the current steel deal. Agnolian steel isn't worth that much, Mr. Van Houten. Let's try the current steel deal. See if we can break that off. We believe that Swordland has been given an unfair advantage for too long because of the previous agreements. We can no longer accept this, Mr. Rain. Our people believe that we've been long overshadowed by Swordland, and I'm here to fix that, with a beneficial trade for both nonetheless. Is there no room for discussion? We don't want to lose our cooperation with Swordland. Maybe I can agree with your prices. I'll offer an alternative for the sake of our history together. As you know, Helgeland has been long contested between Agnolia and Vagastand. Here it comes. You know that how the international community does not recognise our rightful claim on the island, including Swordland. Wouldn't it be fitting for Sordon to finally announce the recognition of Helge land as Agnolian territory? If you do that, we have a deal. Ugh. I don't really want to annoy Vegas land, because they are a big country. And they're also socialist. I don't want to annoy them too much. Oh, I don't want to say... I want to go back. Be careful with your words, Mr. Van Horten. You're in position to judge me. I've made my decision. Oh, I thought this could be a start of a new era, but apparently not. Well then, he stood up from his chair. We must continue the official programme. As you know, we will pay a visit to our finest grave for another ceremony. Afterwards, we move on to the state dinner. Well, I didn't want... It's annoying that you can't go back to the original decision, but I guess maybe not. As soon as we left the office, I briefed Simon and David on the outcome of the meeting. The rest of the state trip was full of fake smiles, handshakes, incredibly long ceremonies, and even longer meetings between our ministers and their counterparts. When we came to the end of the trip, the way back was mostly silent. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when we touched down in Holsword. Damn. Yeah, that's a failed trade negotiation. Agnolia is not... Yeah, they're going to be neutral to us now, aren't they? Bugger. It is a bit annoying that I can't go back and, during the negotiation phase and be like, okay, well, we couldn't make any decisions, we couldn't agree on the island situation because I didn't want to annoy Vegasland, so it's annoying that I couldn't go back and say I'll accept the original deal, which I would have done, but I wanted to see what I could debate first. So in the meantime, let's do the trade talks with the President of Wayland. Sordon's one flight from Holsword to Raklovitz took approximately 5 hours. Despite heavy turbulence, I managed to sleep a little. Sim and David and I landed at the international airport of the capital city of Wayland. Our aim here was to finalise the trade deal drafted between Sordon and Wayland. Our plane landed and the door opened. The sun blinded me for a moment as I stepped outside. I saw the soldiers lined up on either side of a red carpet. There must have been at least 100 of them. A marching band started playing and the soldiers immediately saluted me. We're not going to salute the soldiers back, no. I walked down the stairs and proceeded without any gestures. At the bottom of the stairs, Victor Smolak was waiting for me next to a military jeep with a few reporters at the edge of the crowd waiting with their cameras. He was a tall man, almost as tall as me. He was wearing large sunglasses and a regular suit, contrasting with the military attire of everyone else in the field. Mr. President, welcome. He immediately motioned for an embrace. We hugged and many cameras went off at the same time. He turned around for a couple of additional poses. Whom aside for a couple more poses yourself. Let's try that. Now the pleasantries are done, let's go. We will take the jeep for a tour. With another tune from the marching band, we boarded the military jeep. He sat in the driver's seat and I sat next to him. As we started speeding up, the soldiers saluted again, and Victor saluted back. Again, I'm not going to salute the soldiers. Both of our security details started following us immediately, along with a team of reporters. We will first go to the city centre to see the unveiling of a statue. Whose statue? Mine, of course. Oh. I'm not sure I like that. We kept making small talk about the flight and the weather as we made our way towards the city centre. On almost every corner there were reporters taking photos of us. Aside from those, the streets seemed completely empty. Is Raklovitz always this empty? I had this part of the city closed down because of your visit, so you could join the city in peace. Here we are. We arrived at the centre. In the middle of a large plaza there was a covered statue. Large crowds of people were gathered behind fences, waving both Sorland and Wayland flags. Victor waved back at them. My people have been very supportive of this visit, Mr. President. I'm sure you're delighted to see them. The man came closer to the fences, starting yelling at Victor. With my limited knowledge of the Vesic language, I understood the words Victor and murderer. Almost instantaneously, 2 soldiers came up from the man and he was taken away. Thankfully, the sun is out. Today will be a good day for the reveal. What will happen to that man who was protesting? Which man? The one in the crowd? Don't worry about the details. He must have been a troubled fellow. Let's focus on the event. I strongly think that we might have chosen the wrong people to go with here. I would much rather the Agnolian trade talks had succeeded, but we weren't given the opportunity to go back and change our minds, so hey-ho. It was a fairly good likeness, albeit more muscular than the real Victor. He was wearing a cloak and holding a sword in his hand. Excellent statue, very lifelike. What do you think? That's a bit of flattery, why not? Glad you appreciate the art behind it. Join me for a walk. I followed him through the streets. At every corner, more and more photos were taken. We stopped in front of a pastry vendor on the street. Give me 2 strudels. The man behind the stand smiled and gave us 2 strudels. Are you going to pay for it? Of course, Mr. Rain. Smolak's got your back. He handed the money to the street vendor with a huge smile on his face, and the cameras flashed again. Afterwards, we walked a short distance to the palace. Passing the gates, we made our way into the main building, made from ivory-coloured stones. The old guard towers flanked the magnificent structure from both sides. The inside of the palace was very spacious, with a very large chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Grand staircases made from the same ivory stone had red carpets on them. On the upper levels, guards stood wearing the traditional outfits of the old Rosette Kingdom. We finally reached the office of the President, and the door closed behind us. I looked around at the golden ornaments on the wall and the various jewel-encrusted artifacts. As it was customary in Wayland, we sat down on the carpet. Now we can talk about our trade deal. Let's just nod. But before that, he clapped his hands twice. Bring the quiche. A few assistants immediately entered the room carrying a large ornamented quiche, the well-known smoking instrument. This was like shisha, but called quiche, originating from Wayland. They immediately lifted it up, and the room was filled with the smell of tobacco. Victor inhaled the smoke and handed me the quiche. We'll partake, that's okay. It's probably the highest quality tobacco I'd ever smoked, and I handed it back. He took it on the puff, filling the room with more smoke. So, Mr. President, that's too long. Can I call you Anton? Sure. Anton, tell me, what do you really think about Rumberg? They're a threat to the region. I agree with your sentiments, Anton. They're a threat to everyone in the region. I assure you their time will come. Regardless of rather prevent further conflict in the region. You know as well as I do, Anton, they are coming whether we like it or not. They are the aggressor, not us. And now I need to solve some problems they're creating for me. We're listening. He clapped his hands again. 2 assistants came into the room with a map of the border regions between Wayland and Swordland. He pointed at the border. Look. Bloods and the so-called BFF are causing problems for me in this region. They're getting increasingly dangerous with Rumberg's active support. I know that they're a problem for you as well. I will not allow these traitors to exist within my borders, so I'll hit them with all the might of Wayland. These terrorists need to be destroyed. I'll cut off their supplies from Rumberg and trap them on the mountains. I call it I call it Operation Bear Trap. What do you want from me? He grinned and lay back on the lodge pillow behind him. Here's the deal. I'll give you objectively the best trade deal in the region. You'll give me assistance crushing the terrorists on both of our borders. I need specifics, or not at all. Sure. My spies have infiltrated BFF cells and they found caches of KA-74s. We traced them back to Rumberg. This alone justifies my retaliation to protect my country. Rest of all, we understand that similar shipments are going to Swordland. Rumberg is trying to unite the BFF forces in both of our countries. However, the main problem is the border security between our nations. BFF militants have been using the mountains between Swordland and Wayland to escape justice in both of our countries. If we don't act and trap them in these mountains, they will keep replenishing their forces in both of our countries and keep waging war against our citizens. Yes, Anton, you see, this is not just Wayland's problem. Let's take a step back and talk about what you will get in return. I propose you a no-tariff agreement, co-investment projects and oil. In return, you will assist me in destroying the armed militants in my country. You know that as long as they use the mountains of Wayland as a base, Swordland and Nesby will equally suffer. This is in the interest of the whole region. What kind of support do you need from me? Can't Wayland handle it by itself? We can, but these vermin are good at hiding. As I told you, they operate and keep reorganising inside both of our countries. What I want from you is to return all the money and resources, only a joint operation between our armies against the BFF. Let's negotiate Swordland's contribution to the operation. You're a tough one, Anton. Normally I wouldn't offer anyone else, but I like you. Here's my final offer. When the operation starts, with or without you, there will be stragglers trying to cross into Swordland. We just want you to support the operation even if you do not join. Stop the terrorists from fleeing into your country and you'll have your deal. Simple, isn't it? We're going to have to take the deal, otherwise both the trade talks fail. There'll be ramifications, and it goes against our relaxed immigration policy, but I don't see what else we can do. Tonight we all drink. I knew I could trust you, Anton. Drinks, dancers, music. A group of dancers and performers entered and smoke filled the room. As they performed their songs, we clinked our glasses to our new partnership while sipping the sweetest Vezek liquor. The next day I returned to Swordland with a hangover. I sincerely hope that helps with our relations. No, we're still neutral. We do now have an oil trade, which is good. Positive impact on Swordsman's economy. And we also have a trade agreement. And if I go back to Agnolia, do we still have the steel agreement? We still have the cheap steel imports. Okay. That might go okay then. We'll have to see. Let's return back to the national map. And let's read some of the reports. So, education reforms. The Ministry of Education is reporting that the massive overhaul to the education system is progressing slower than expected. Only a few schools in Sworland will collaborate in the reduction of hours taught in citizenship, solism, and nationalism subjects. Significant efforts are being made to lessen the political indoctrination in education, but being met with resistance. Other changes which were supposed to happen in the curriculum, improvements like improved teacher-student relations and the emphasis on critical thinking development, weren't able to start due to a lack of workforce and funding. Minister Walder reports little progress, with most schools delaying the transformation on political grounds. Not great. We'll also read the report. A new approval rating poll has shown that we have landed above a 50% presidential approval rating. Our administration's good performance has been confirmed with a diverse poll, taken by 1,000 responses from all the regions of Swordland. Not bad. Not bad at all. Do we have any friendly countries kind of nearby at all? I'm not sure we do. There's certainly a lot more red things than there are green things. So we need to fix a lot of things, that's for sure. I'm hoping the military at least okay. The military are probably the best at the moment in terms of how they are. But I think we'll leave things there for the time being. More to come soon indeed. We had a bit of a crap trade talk with Agnolia and that kind of backfired a lot for us. We'll have to fix that going forward. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.